Welcome to Government Contracting Weekly, sponsored by AOC Key Solutions Incorporated. Government Contracting Weekly is the only television program devoted exclusively to the competitive and dynamic world of government contracting. A world where coming in second place is not an option, but where principle-centered winning is the only approach.
Good morning and welcome to Government Contracting Weekly. I'm your host, Hilary Fordwich. This morning, we have a very special program that I'm pleased to be part of as I'm joined by four extremely accomplished women, each of whom has established a track record of success in the area of government contracting. With me today is Amy Caro, Vice President, Health and IT Systems, Information Sector for Northrop Grumman. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning, Hilary.
Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Deb Alderson is also with me, and she's now the President and CEO of Sotera Defense. Good morning, Deb.
Hi, Hilary. How you doing?
And also Cheryl Campbell, Senior Vice President, Health and Compliance Programs, CGI Federal. Morning, Cheryl.
Good morning.
And last but definitely not least, I have Stephanie Hill, the President, IS&GS, Civil Lockheed Martin. Good morning.
Good morning, Hilary.
So ladies, we have a lot to cover. Let's get right to it. I'd love for the audience to learn a little bit about your backgrounds and sort of why you got to where you are, how you got to where you are today. And I'd love to start with you, Cheryl.
Sure. So for me, I grew up in a family that had a small business. So I think that sort of was part of my DNA very early on. I knew from day one I was going to be a businesswoman.
That work ethic, you saw it day in, day out.
Day in and day out.
Night in, night out. Yeah.
Constantly, right?
Yeah.
Father owned the business. My mother was a big part of that business. And I think they were very instrumental in being a role model for me to say, either I was going to have my own business. At some point, I thought I was going to have my own accounting firm. That's where my career started. Realized from a technology perspective that computer science was really my passion, and moved more into corporate America around information technology.
And you've loved it ever since, I know.
I do.
Yes.
When it's your passion, you do get up every morning with a sense of urgency and excitement about what you do. And so when you know you're there making a difference, it is important.
And what is it, Seneca said, if you love what you do, you never work another day the rest of your life.
Correct.
Right? Yes,
Correct.
Right. So passion for business you've always had.
Passion for business, I think, is the key. But I think I figured out early on, as I said, the big picture was businesswoman. I knew I'd be a business person in some capacity. And watching the work ethic of my parents over the years, I just knew that was going to be where my career would not only start, but to end.
And then you also, thank you, Cheryl and Deb, I know your mother was a great influence in your life, and she's really been there for you always.
Right.
What about your inspiration, things your mother said and about your background?
Well, Hilary, as you said, my mom's like my rock, pretty much. And at an early age, she just told me the importance of treating people with dignity and respect and making sure that you treated them like you wanted to be treated. So my passion has always been trying to work with people, mentor people, and provide opportunities for them. And Mom still reminds me every day the importance of that. And I have to say that just how I've treated people through my career, I think, has been critical to my success. As far as getting involved in government contracting, that was out of necessity, needed a job. Actually started as a GS4 clerk typist, but through that...
What's that expression, you come a long way, baby?
Exactly, exactly. And we don't have to mention that I couldn't type, but...
Which is why you're where you are today.
Exactly, exactly.
Right, yeah.
But I had that exposure to the mission, as Shirley said, and that passion, and that keeps me going. So I'm very driven to support the mission, and again, that ability to support people and be engaged with people is also critical.
Super. Thank you very much, Deb. And Stephanie, about your inspiration and your background.
So it's interesting. When I was in school, I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and that was to be a psychiatrist. And I learned later, as I moved through college, I took a course in COBOL programming, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And so unlike Cheryl, who knew exactly what you wanted to do and started off in that path and have done incredibly well, I'm an accidental engineer, and I fell in love with it. Wasn't sure what I would do with it. My mother was a teacher, my father was a judge, and I didn't know any engineers. And so fortunately, UMBC gave me a great career counseling, and I was able to find Lockheed Martin. And I started as a software engineer, and it's been love at first bite.
But that's a nice combination, because the psychiatry is really understanding people's minds, and with engineering, that combination means you're sort of very well rounded.
It has been a very powerful combination, in
Yes.
particular as I have moved into leadership positions, to be able to have that balance of treat people with respect and dignity, like you, Deb. That was drilled into me at an early age too. So
You got it there.
Yeah.
Great. And Amy, what about your inspiration and your background?
Well, growing up in Western Pennsylvania, my father worked in the steel mill, and my mother was a great inspiration for me. She worked in the mills during World War II and really taught me about going after what you want to do. Don't, regardless of the obstacles, go for it.
So Rosie the Riveter was there for you.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
Right.
And so she was a great inspiration, and my sister as well. And they've taught me to try new things, go outside your boundaries. I was very interested in math. I was a math and computer science major, and so that whole science, technology, engineering, and math, I saw no boundaries, and so I just went for it.
And okay, so speaking of seeing no boundaries, Amy, what about boundaries? Have any of you ever seen any boundaries? Did you think about them? Did you dwell on them? Or did you just go for it? How did you approach your career? How do any of you do that?
You know, I never really, growing up, my parents always said, if you are good at what you do, it will work out for you.
Yes.
And so I think if you're outcome based and you really are striving to be the best you can be, you don't really stress about boundaries because you don't see them.
You don't
right?
think
You
about
push
them.
yourself through them, even if they are there. You continue to push yourself through them.
What was it Margaret Thatcher said once when she was asked about being a woman? She said, "Oh, I don't really think about it." Right. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
It's irrelevant.
Because you're more important. It's more important to do.
Yes.
Right. Than to really stress about the environment around which you maybe have some constraints. And you just continue to work through them. And all of a sudden, I think in the workplace, people recognize, well, this is a person who can deliver for me.
That's all they want.
And,
That's all
and
they
this
want.
is really about, particularly in this market now, this is really about outcomes.
Yes.
we talked.
And-
We talked
Yes.
about growing up and the values that our families instilled in us. Well, my father, I call him the 95 points man. I would come home, I was a great student, I'd come home and have a 95 on a test. And he'd say, Stephanie, where are the other 5 points?
Yes, right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So much
Yes.
like you,
Yes.
Cheryl. When
Correct.
we're in business, we're trying to not leave 5 points on the table.
Correct.
And if we don't do that, yeah, sure, there are going to be some obstacles, there are going to be challenges, but you have the strength and conviction to work through them.
That's exactly right. You're not sort of
Absolutely.
whining and dwelling.
No.
Yeah, you're just striving.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think it really comes down to that work ethic that was drilled into all of us.
Yes,
You know,
that's the
basics.
commonality here.
Get in
Yes.
before your boss, leave after your boss. Make sure when you leave, you know that you have done everything you possibly can to add value to what you're doing.
Absolutely,
right?
but you mentioned strength. You have to be strong and want to be determined to overcome any obstacles. And so, but in terms of boundaries, you don't see them because you want to achieve.
So how about that then? I think that's a good point, Amy. Where do you get your strength from today? Is it historical? Is it somebody in your life? What do you look to? What do you look to in those tough moments that men and women always have? Some people have religion, some people have their spouse, some people have their family, some people have their history. What do you look to? What helps give you strength?
I think what gives me strength is the example. People are watching. My mother always told me somebody's always watching you. And so when you have those hard times, or if you have something that you're working through, you've got to set the example so that others see that it's possible to overcome it. Because if you don't, then you can mire down an organization and mire down the people who view you as somebody that they might want to aspire to.
Yeah, as a role
that
model.
gives-
As
as
a
a
role
role
model.
as a
So
role
look to
model.
you.
So Stephanie
Yes.
makes a good point, as leaders, right? We
Yes.
have to present the right
Yes.
image to our
That's
staff,
right.
right?
All
Because
leaders.
if we're not, they start to wonder, well, are we on the right path?
That's
Are we
exactly
moving
right.
in the right direction? And I think if you can lead
Yep.
with a sense of strength, a sense of honesty and earnestness in that
It's
process,
leadership.
it is
It's
about
leadership.
the leadership
Yes.
component.
Yeah,
Agreed.
You have to inspire.
Welcome back to our Women in Government Contracting panel. We're here to explore the role of women and where women are today in the government contracting arena. And I'd like to turn to you, Deb, and ask you about Sotera. And what is it at Sotera that you're looking for in terms of diversity, and how do you define it?
Well, to me, diversity is just how you think. And it's, I focus more on your background and the culture. So it's not basically restricted to race or gender at all. It's
Or religion.
exactly,
Or age.
exactly, never
size.
age, or never age or size, of course.
No.
But really, how you think and how you will bring solutions to a problem. So I have a saying at Sotera that I want everyone at the table. When we're looking at a major bid or a major challenge, I like to have not only, you know, the line managers there or the business developer and the marketer, but also finance, contracts, HR, everybody who can bring a different approach to a problem or a challenge going forward.
Yes.
So I'm a real fanatic when it comes to diversity, but it's more around problem solving.
Yeah, and it's just a different arenas. You need people that understand different markets and different aspects of
exactly,
things.
and how to look at, again, how to look at the challenge or
Yes.
the problem that's facing the
Yes.
company going forward.
And Stephanie, what about Lockheed Martin?
At Lockheed Martin, it's very similar. It certainly is, diversity certainly is the diversity that you can see as far as race and gender and ethnicity. But it's also diversity beyond what you can see.
Right.
And it's that diversity of thought.
The mind.
That, yeah,
Yes.
the diversity of thought that drives innovation. And I can remember sitting around many tables on a bid or any other kind of technical problem we're trying to solve. And there might be somebody that's sitting back, not wanting to participate. And you need to make them feel included. And when you do, they have a perspective that when brought to the table is a force multiplier. And that's what we try to make sure is true at Lockheed Martin, that there's an environment where everybody feels comfortable to be able to bring what is unique to them to the table.
And some things you can't even see, like socioeconomic background. You may not even see, and they may have struggled. They may have got themselves out of a very low-income area, which you wouldn't even know. And that's not to do with color. They could be from anywhere, and you just need to get their perspective. Amy, what about at Northrop?
Well, diversity is a business imperative. You really need to have, as was mentioned, everybody has to have a seat at the table. And it's really the innovation in solving the business problems. But if we don't bring diversity to the table, then you're not solving the problems for the customers, you're not helping them, and you're not winning new business.
And when you say about the customers, it's right, because I always say the marketplace is not becoming any more male and white. The marketplace is so diverse. Everybody was serving in the nation and the globe,
It is.
across the globe. And Cheryl?
So for CGI, the company was really founded by those principles, where every voice can be heard, right? We're a global company, and the founder of the company, the reason he started the business was he said he wanted to have every person to be an owner in the company. So you bring diversity by having everyone, as everyone has very, I think, correctly stated, having a seat at the table, right? Being present at the table, having dialogue, right? This is an era of how do you bring better innovation, really practical innovation to the market, and you need to have everyone's approach and thought process in that game.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I think that when you mention across the globe, all of your companies are global. So you're looking at not just American issues.
Right.
What about being a female in the global arena? Things are different in America, and I think personally, I think that they're a lot easier here. So anybody that whines about male chauvinism or the female world in America, it's much easier here. But what about the global role of women and the role of women in your company generally as an obstacle or what you're facing?
I don't see any obstacles, as we talked about earlier.
Good.
I think you're talking to a panel of women who don't see barriers or there is no glass ceiling. I do think you have to be sensitive to cultural differences, and there have been cases in my career when if I was going to do a marketing call or a business call outside of the U.S. and I knew that in fact I could not provide value that are the highest level of value to the company.
Was that because of the mindset you knew would be in that country?
In that country,
Yes.
exactly. Then I'm not going to go just to prove a point. Again, my mission is to provide value, drive growth and opportunity for the people. So I would send someone else on that trip that would be more accepted. It's just, you know, I
Practical.
respect it and practical. So
Going back to what Amy said about the customer. It's
Yeah,
all
exactly.
about the customer.
Exactly.
Having that awareness.
Right.
You have to have not only awareness of the external environment, but how
Right.
you would be perceived
Exactly.
as well.
It's cultural sensitivity,
Absolutely.
which is never going to be the
May
same.
I follow
as
up
it
on
is.
something that
Sure.
Deb said when she said there are really no obstacles, and I think that there are far fewer obstacles, but one of the things, an obstacle that women sometimes place on themselves, I think, in the workplace, is our freedom to be authentic. And when I say that, growing up in the company, I've been with Lockheed Martin for 26 years, and so many of my role models were men.
That's all there were.
And that's all there were.
I didn't know
And
any
so
females.
when
Right.
I look at my style of leadership, And some of the styles of my role models, they're different. And it
Yes.
could be very tempting to say, in order to be successful, I have to emulate him. And I think often women can fall into that trap. I believe that if you are yourself and you're true to your values, you're going to do better than if you try to emulate someone else's
And
style.
a woman doing what a man would do, you're perceived anyway as too aggressive, whereas men all the time are exactly like that. And I remember actually on that note that, you know, Margaret Thatcher came into power after I had left England, but in America, I remember seeing her go to a G8 summit. And you remember in the 80s, we were all wearing those Brooks Brothers suits with like the little rosettes, and we were all trying to be like female men, like little men. And I saw her in a dress. I remember thinking, if she can wear a dress to the G8 summit, maybe I could wear a dress. And I started looking for those Albert Nippon executive dresses. And I think you're right. You can be a female leader versus trying to emulate anybody else.
And don't you think, I do think recently people have gained an appreciation to what a woman brings to the table.
Yes.
Really,
Yes.
I mean, it's been
Absolutely.
so wonderful, basically, and enlightening for just for our colleagues in the industry to realize that we truly do bring that diversity of thought and that innovation and a different style that I think really complements.
It's interesting looking now at colleges, you know, when you look at colleges with your kids, that every single university and college in America has to lower the SAT level and the score level and the grade level for males because they just don't score as high as women do.
Except for my sons, sorry.
Except for your sons. Yes.
I think that there's a lot of change happening in the market in general in terms of women and our position in the market. I think we are now having greater dominance in this space.
Well, we shouldn't use that word because
it's not from a perspective of overshadowing in any way, right? It's just that we're now seeing we're more in the market, and we're not. You know, there used to be a time it would be we were the first of something,
and it was
right?
a token.
Sometimes
it was a token.
Correct.
Right.
It's no longer.
Really
It is no longer the first of, right?
Yes.
We're just one of many, and that's when I talk about that's from that perspective, and it really is very refreshing to see as I look at this panel of very accomplished women that there are so many more who are in government who are doing extremely well. When you look at the chain of women, for example, at DoD in this space, at DoD Military Health, and at VA and HHS, you see a predominant of women in leadership roles.
So there's going to be even more in the future. Yeah.
Yes.
So for any executive to be successful, you've got to be successful in every aspect of your life. Maslow's hierarchy has a foundation that is not just about living and existing, it's about being fulfilled. To be a successful executive, and actually for anybody to work with you, they need to have a full life and a healthy life. How do you balance that? Stephanie, let's turn to you first. How do you balance your life, your personal life, your family life with a tremendously successful career?
Well, the first thing is I have a tremendous support system. I have my mother and my in-laws that just help take care of our family. I also have an incredible husband who makes hot breakfast for the children every morning, which is incredibly helpful. But I'm going to tell you, the other thing is when I am at home, I'm present. I'm there. On the weekends, I'm going to be running around doing everything I can with my children. If they have a day off, I try to plan, can I take that day off? Can I work from home in order to be present there too?
I'm really there. There's an expression which is a little corny about quality time,
Yes.
but it is true. You don't just be there and be doing emails. You have to focus on things with them.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's great. Yeah, Amy.
Absolutely.
I think it's very important to not only have a great support system, but I think it's important to take a little time for yourself to recharge your batteries, whether it's taking some time off or having a hobby, golf or whatever.
Just, golf?
Yes.
Let's have the rest of the show about golf now. I'm kidding, go ahead.
But you know, and my husband and I love to go golf, and for me that's escaping, and then you can recharge the batteries and be even more productive. Get away from a problem and then come back and solve it.
Some people say, I always say about golf, I always say, some people do drugs, some people do alcohol to cope. I do golf. And it's the only thing in the world where everything else at work, you can do emails faster, everything faster. But with golf, you have to be centered and it brings you down. Yeah, Cheryl.
I think it's hard, right? I mean, let's not kid ourselves. That work-life balance is difficult, right? It is very difficult to to stay on your A game in the office, be on your A game at home. As my son tells me sometimes, Mom, you're not at work. Okay, I get that. I understand. I have that. I get that message, right? Having three sons
as I
as
say,
well.
I'm not doing Facebook. This is real.
But I think you know, I try when I sort of mentor or really sort of be a role model for young women or even young men. You know, I tell them they have to make their plan and work their plan, right? Because if you can do those things, it helps you sort of organize yourself around the things that you need to do at home, the things you need to do at work, but every once in a while the ball will drop.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
And you
just
have to
going
be able to
happen.
address that.
And as a juggler, you see, those things happen. You just pick the ball back up and you keep going.
Right.
I like
And
the fact that you said also that you mentor just not young women but young men. I think men have become very different in this arena. Men are more involved with families, like you
Yes.
mentioned, Stephanie. It's not like the 50s. It's not like the family used to
Oh,
know.
absolutely. I think men have stepped up and have
Yes.
taken on the more traditional roles, as you would say, that women have had in the past.
Yes.
And it is a partnership. My husband and I are very much partners in the household, right
And
there.
so men need to have a work-life balance just the same as women.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
absolutely.
One of the things that I noticed too from when you're thinking about work-life balance, there are boundaries and there are limitations. All of us, everybody
Yes.
has boundaries, but not all of those boundaries have to be limitations. So I think when we're
Right.
thinking about work-life balance, we need to make sure that we don't make every boundary that we have a limitation, because it doesn't have to be.
That's right. That's right. Deb,
Right,
how do
yeah.
you cope?
Well, I just wanted to kind of piggyback on something that Amy said about that finding time for yourself. I think one of the most challenging things I had during my career with children and then my husband and the family was that feeling of guilt when I needed to,
that's a good point.
have
Yeah.
time for
Absolutely.
myself. And then as I grew in my career and personally and professionally, I realized that time was really important. In order for me to be on in the office and at home, and to provide value in both places, I needed to find that time for myself.
Yeah, I remember actually years ago we had a major partners meeting at KPMG, and I remember the chairman of the firm getting up and saying, when you're in a wheelchair and you're in a home and there's dribble coming down your cheek, it will not be another KPMG partner that's there to wipe it up.
Right.
And that means you have to have your own life, your own focus, and what you're doing there. As an exit question, final comment. In your work-life balance, people talk about setting priorities. What do you say to your families when you cannot be there and something very important? You've got a major game, or Phil Mickelson is so famous about flying from his daughter's graduation, but he had a private jet. Is there one word you ever say? Is there anything you ever say where you say, I got to do this? For me, it's this supports our family.
Yeah,
Right. I don't know if there's one word that I say, but I can tell you when that happens and it can be disappointing, I try to make up for it as quickly as I can with
Yes.
something intense
Time
and
for it,
fun.
right. Make it up. That's exactly right. We make
Well,
it up.
I think you have to do that.
So leading off on Cheryl's point about women in the government in general, Amy, I'd like to ask you, do you see that as a leader in this sector for government contracting in general? That's why there are more women. Or what do you attribute to many women in government contracting to be, and what do you see as the future?
Well, I see the future is very bright. I see there's a lot of opportunities, and I think one of the main reasons that government contracting has been leading the way in diversity is because people have open minds for the opportunity and giving people a chance to prove themselves. And again, it's about the outcomes, as we've mentioned earlier. People are proving themselves, but it has to be the opportunities that present themselves.
And all any business ever wants is to make money and succeed and do well. So if women were failing in droves, there wouldn't be any more of us, because they'd be like, we're not going to succeed this way. It's no longer like a token. It's a business. It's a business objective, because you want to succeed. You want to get a woman. What do you think, Stephanie?
I think that defense in particular and government contracting have been leading the way, because early on we recognized the criticality of our mission, and that if we didn't have the absolute best talent, that we wouldn't be able to deliver that mission to the federal government. And so we started earlier with our diversity initiatives, with our
Versus
mentoring
other
programs,
industries.
versus other industries,
Yes.
because we had to.
Yes.
Right, exactly. And I actually think we're mimicking our customers, which is critical. So we have a very, very diverse customer base, and I was always very impressed early in my career with the emphasis that the defense industry put on diversity, and I think it was just a natural for our industry to follow that.
And I think it's evident, because when I look at our business, our CEO, Marilyn Houston, CEO and president, is a woman who grew up in the business. The second largest business area in Lockheed Martin is headed by a woman who grew up in the business.
She has been there. Cheryl, what do you see? Also at CGI.
Same for CGI, and across the I think across this industry, is that women are really are very collaborative in nature. Not that men aren't, but I just think women do tend to be more inclusive, more collaborative, and it sort of brings about this this concept that we really have to bring everyone to the table, as we were mentioning earlier. And I think because we drive in that direction, we're sort of wired that way, and to some extent, we tend to move more effectively in that dynamic, which I think is a natural progression in how you move up in an organization as well. I call it sort of your inside-outside game, right? You have to be able to operate from an inside perspective of understanding the cultural components within your company, right, for one, right? And how do you now take that to your outside game of when you were talking about mirroring the image of your client to some extent, the diverse environment that's happening in the marketplace in general. So I think when you can bring that combination together, women will continue to move and show a presence in the market.
So the real key for women growing and moving, as you say, and moving up is, are we delivering business? Are we winning? And are we growing that business? That's all the business really cares about. They don't care. They really don't care whether you're a woman.
It's the outcomes.
Old, young, green, orange, doesn't matter. It's, are you delivering? So on that note, most of our viewers know that the sponsor of the show, the force behind the show, is Key Solutions. The focus is on the strategy, capture, and proposal support services to win. So we're always interested, and our audience wants to know, what does it take to win? So what does it take to win as a woman and for your company? And let's go again to you, Amy, for Northrop Grumman.
Well, from a Northrop perspective, I think you don't take anything for granted. Customers can change, competition gets stiff, but you have to really deliver value, innovation, and at a lower cost to our customers. And I think the key really is listening to your customer. And I think at Northrop, we really take pride in listening to our customers to make sure that we're delivering that value.
Yes, great, Amy and Stephanie.
I couldn't agree more. It is at Lockheed Martin, it's about listening to the customer. It's about really listening and taking that information back in so you can have the right technological solutions, then having a great team that's motivated, that you take really good care of so they can deliver it to the customer.
And they want to, they have a passion for Lockheed Martin. Yes. And to you, Deb?
I just add to that engagement, people engagement. I mean, if you have your team engaged, they're going to be more focused on the mission. And also, to your all's point, they're going to bring back that information from what the customer wants. But I think that's critical to me, keeping your people engaged, excited about the mission, and excited about the company they're a part of.
Well, that was the passion. I remember that Cheryl started out and talking about business and having the passion. If you love what you do, you have that excitement, the passion, and you want to win more than anything else, Cheryl.
I'll say the same as my colleagues in this regard. It is about the mission and tying to the mission of our client. It's about having the engaged members. But now this market is saying you also have to have what I call the tangible innovation. With our clients saying that they have to do more with less, bringing the value without increased costs. It's that tangible innovation that you have to bring to every solution that you take to your client in order to win.
So last exit question, ladies, quickly. Is it getting better for women or worse for women? Better or worse? What do you think?
Better.
Better?
Better.
Better?
Great.
Great.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. And I'm going to add the closing word, which is because we're winning and we're winning business and they don't care. No one cares. No shareholder says, I think let's have a girl there. They want to win and they want to win business, and that's why they have a woman there. Tenacious and strong. And ladies, it was phenomenal to have you this morning from great government contractors. Really a pleasure. Thanks go out to Stephanie Hill, the president of IS and GS Civil at Lockheed Martin. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to Cheryl Campbell. Cheryl is at CGI Federal, and she is the Senior Vice President there of Health and Compliance Programs. Thank you. And to Deb Alderson, President and CEO of Sotera Defense. Thank you, Deb. And lastly, but not least in this round, to Amy Caro, the Vice President, Health and IT Systems for the sector of Northrop Grumman. Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Most of all, I'd like to thank you, our audience of Government Contracting Weekly. You make our program a regular part of your Sunday learning experience, and we're grateful for that.
You've been watching Government Contracting Weekly, sponsored each week by AOC Key Solutions Incorporated. Government Contracting Weekly is the only television program devoted exclusively to the competitive and dynamic world of government contracting. For additional information, comments, questions, or suggestions, please write us at governmentcontractingweekly.com.